Okay, cool.
Hey guys, I'm Joe Hendricks and I'm talking to John today, and he is roaming RV,
Re- Roaming remodelers. A
roaming
little bit of a
remodelers. I should
yeah,
probably start that over, but I don't want to do like an edit thing, so we're just
yeah. No worries. No worries, no worries. It's a bit of a tongue twister.
yeah. Where are you at today?
So we are just outside of Austin, Texas,
Cool.
and yeah, hoping to hit the road and get toward closer to New Mexico soon.
Okay, we're going to Waco, Texas on Tuesday.
Are you really?
Yeah, Austin's going to be in a disc golf tournament on the 17th.
Ooh, okay, okay. We might hit the road. Yeah, we might hit the road early, but if we're still around,
Cool.
yeah, we'll definitely reach out and
We'll
we'll
stay
hang
in
out.
contact. I do.
Yeah,
So
awesome.
hit me up with some questions. We're going to do a one-on-one consultation today where you can ask me
Yeah.
anything you want.
Okay, dokie. So I kind of broke down my questions into about three little sections. So my first thing is in terms of your landscape work,
Yeah.
what are just some of your methods when you're looking to put together certain compositions? What is your eye see, or what do you look for? Maybe what kinds of rules do you like to stick to or break sometimes, just creatively, that kind of
Sure.
thing.
My eye gravitates towards balance. So when I look at a scene,
Yeah.
I feel the balance in it all, which means basically like this picture behind me,
Yeah.
um, you know, the mountain is balanced with still seeing the river and the way it streams and all that stuff. So me personally, I get a feeling when something's unbalanced and I correct it in camera and I always go for it. But that came from learning composition. And, the composition is the number one thing I tell everybody: learn composition because it changes everything in every type of photography. The difference between a great photo and a good photo is awesome composition.
Nice, nice.
That's the main
Okay.
thing that I look for. Yeah. Do you ever get that feeling when you're looking at a landscape?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I just see myself trying to work on getting a better grasp of it, getting better at it, and trying to, I guess, see something that, like you say, it's got to be pleasing and has to make sense so that the eye is drawn where you want it to be drawn.
Right.
And so I'm trying to figure that out. I'm trying to get better at that.
Well,
That's
and
definitely
one of the
big.
things I explain to people is breathing room. I think people need to allow for breathing room. So we can use this webinar as an example, okay? So
Yeah,
right here, if I have my camera like this and my head is like barely cut off, that
yeah,
gets annoying to people. You may not know
yeah,
that without understanding composition, but once I put this up just a little bit here and give myself some breathing room, it
yeah,
feels better. It gives a better feeling to it because it's just awkward if somebody's here like the whole time. Like this is a more of an
yeah,
awkward position than
yeah,
right here in the middle where I'm talking to you. So it always depends on your landscape that you're shooting, but like give breathing room for a river to come in and not cut off the river if it's like right at the very end or something. That's the biggest mistake that I
yeah.
see a lot of people do.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So kind of hand in hand with this is handheld versus tripod. And so obviously not long exposure where you have to be rock solid, but maybe some of the kind of thing where it could be run and gun, but do you maybe do a hike to a certain mountain or a certain vista and say, I'm going to have my tripod and I'm going to set it up, even though I might not really need it creatively, right?
Yeah.
Just kind of what's your take, just because of hauling gear and,
Yeah.
having heavy backpacks and stuff like that.
Dude,
Do you kind of always go for the tripod or do a lot of handheld?
I love this question because tripods suck. And I take my tripod everywhere
Yeah.
and I don't use it as often as I think I will. So
Mm,
I have my big
okay.
old tripod that requires a big backpack, and it's
Yeah.
always uncomfortable to carry. And I literally hardly ever use it. And I have filters
Mm,
go in front of my lens so
yeah.
that I can make everything darker to give me a
Yep.
longer exposure so the water flows. But I don't use it a lot. Like most of the time I'm shooting without a tripod because it allows me to compose and give that breathing room in my picture really easy. Whereas with a tripod, I have to get it there, lock it down. Oh, I missed it. Okay, unloosen it, move it over, lock it down. Okay, this is good. I'm going to stay here. And then by then, maybe the sun changed or whatever. I like to get the pictures fast as possible and as easy as possible.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things I struggle with sometimes, because it's like, if you do bust out that tripod, I mean, you better be really, really good at capturing the light right when it's right, and your composition's got to be rock solid, and it's like, oh, geez.
It's hard, yeah.
Yeah.
But you never know when you're going to use it, so it's one of those things, you have to have it with you just in case. But, if you're going on a hike, like when I went up to Mount Zion, I had it on my back.
Yeah.
And if I would not have had that with me, I might have gone to the top of Angel's Landing. But because I had it with me, I just felt off balance and I didn't want to do it. So.
Yeah, got you. And then the last thing, so on landscape, maybe just some of your personal favorites, some things that you say, John, you have to go experience this and try to capture this, or this is an inspiring place. Just kind of speak to some of your faves.
So you're going to New Mexico?
Yeah.
So, I mean, have you been to White Sands?
That is probably our next stop.
White Sands is like an amazing place. And if you have a tent and you guys can go tent camp overnight in the middle of White Sands, I would 100% do that, because they close at sunset for people who aren't camping. So you kind of miss the peak sunset moment. Or maybe you can stay there for just that and then you have to leave, but then you miss all the stars and everything else that come out at night. And that's an experience I wish I would have had. And there's a lot of stuff that you can do with YouTube. So Nadia can go out like way ahead. You can take a picture of her and she'll look like really small in the middle of all this desert white sand and everything. So, I mean, it'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, good stuff. All right. Let's see, what else do I got here? So switching over to more of like the portrait work and some of the, I guess, human shooting, right? In terms of some of your go-to settings, do you find yourself, since it's more run and gun and you don't want to miss shots, do you find yourself going into like auto ISO or shooting on one of the priority modes, or how do you kind of dial that in so that you're getting more than you're missing?
So I change my settings as I'm walking. So basically, like if I was to walk outside right now, it's pretty sunny outside. I know I need to be about 100, 200 ISO to compensate with my shutter speed. So I'm already changing my ISO to that. Now, if I go to Glacier and I see it's darker, I'm going to probably start at 1100 ISO just so I can have a higher shutter speed. And I'm just going to place it there, get that ready, because moments happen like that. And even though there's 20 people taking a picture of a mountain goat, if that mountain goat decides to charge those people, that's a picture like, I probably should help them, but I would take the picture first probably. But you have to be ready. And if you don't think of that stuff ahead of time, you find yourself playing catch up. So you always want to be ahead of the curve. And it starts with your ISO, and then you just kind of adjust everything from there. If you're shooting landscapes, you want to shoot, f5.6, f8 to keep a lot more stuff in focus. You'd be surprised how many landscapes I've shot at a 2.8 aperture just because I'm so far away, Yeah, but that's the thing, is to stay ahead of the game. And if you want to go further into these questions, or if you want to add anything in there and you need to like understand it better, just feel free, because we're not in a rush to like get through them all.
Okay, cool. How about some of your best practices in pulling out certain emotions when you're working with people? Because I know you've been doing the wedding photography thing for a long time, and you do really beautiful work, and you pull out emotions, not only in weddings, but just family shoots and stuff that I've seen. That's hard to do, when you're working with other human beings. So maybe just, I don't know, either humorous things or just certain kind of go-to behaviors that you find yourself repeating.
So, John, let me ask you a question first. How long have you been taking pictures?
Oh, geez.
Like got
Little bit.
serious about taking pictures.
Yeah. A little bit under a year.
Okay. So you've been taking pictures for a little under a year. Um, the reason I'm able to draw emotions out of people, like you're a very personal person and you can relate to people really easy. I've met you in person. I know how you are around people. It's not a problem for you to pull out personalities, but it is a problem if you're sitting there fiddling with settings and stuff, which is what photographers do. That's what I did when I first started out. Is like, oh, I gotta get this picture right. I'm fiddling with my settings. Like, here's my camera right here. Like, the worst thing that you could do on a photo shoot is like, oh, you guys look beautiful there. One second. Okay, cool. Well, okay. Wait a second. You know, and if you're doing that back and forth, that makes them uncomfortable. The reason I'm able to draw emotion out of people is because I know my settings and my camera so well that same advice I gave you for the landscape, I would do that for a wedding. Like if I am outside and it's dark or light, I've already changed my ISO. I know where my ISO needs to be. So when it comes to take that picture, I take one. I'm like, oh crap, I'm way overexposed. Whoop, just change my dial real quick. I know that's all I have to do. Boom, boom. And I usually don't even look at the next picture because I've done this so long that I know my settings and I know my camera. All that said, when you know this, it allows you to focus on them.
On the people.
Yeah.
Nice.
So you want to get to know that camera inside and out.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you shoot bracketed shots a lot? Like, no?
No.
Any reason why not? Like to avoid it or?
I don't, because I know what I need to get the proper shot. Now, that said, if you're shooting a landscape and you're in a situation where you're not sure if you need to expose for the dark or the bright, I may bracket there, even though I know to expose for the bright, because you can always bring shadows up. It's harder to bring brightness down if you overexposed it. So that would be like a rare time that I would do that, because in my head I'm thinking when I get back I'm gonna superimpose these on each other, but I just never do that.
Got it. Yeah.
More work than I want to do, dude.
Yeah. So that actually brings up my very next question, which is, so when you get to your post-processing steps, and just kind of like your workflow and stuff. So a couple questions there. When you get to maybe like a wedding or an event and you have to really batch process, I guess what would be some of your go-to tips or standard practices where you're like, you know, I'm not going to spend a ton of hours individually editing. I am going to batch process. How do you kind of tackle that if you have hundreds or thousands of pictures in a project?
So when I first started out, I would do one image, then I'd batch process everything. But then I found that I had to go back and change images along the way. So the way that I do it now is I just tackle one image at a time. That's it. Like literally, do you use Lightroom?
Yes.
Okay, so do you ever use the previous button on Lightroom? Down the bottom right?
At the bottom, yeah.
Okay, so all the previous button does is you make your settings, go to the next image, put previous, and all your settings are applied.
Yeah.
And I just go through every single image one by one, but I've learned to go through the settings pretty quickly and to make minor adjustments. Because once you get one picture, how you want it, making all those adjustments for each and every picture is a lot easier, because you're basically just applying the same settings until you go outside to inside or inside to outside, and then things change. Yeah. So like your environment changes when you're taking the picture. So that's the only time you have to kind of recalibrate. So that's what I do. And then I take everything through Photoshop with Batch Plus. And Batch Plus is software I've been using for a decade. And it just puts everything in Photoshop. And I'm literally going through each image. It adjusts it to 1200 pixels for blocks. It makes a full resolution. And it makes a high resolution, which is less than full. And it puts all those in different folders for me automatically. So like it just does.
Wow.
And I'm recording this so that you can play it back, and you can like, if you need to know the name of that software or something, you just play it back. Okay.
Cool. Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Let's see what is my next. So actually, that kind of leads in global versus local edits, more so than on landscape, right? If we transition back to landscapes, do you enjoy kind of diving into that process where you're making these local adjustments and really bringing out some of the life in the picture? Do you do that a lot, or do you kind of stick to the global adjustments?
No, I make minor adjustments, but the most stuff that I do is gradient filters. Have you ever used those before?
Yeah. Yeah. Those are very helpful.
Yeah, so if the sky is too bright, I like to bring that down or whatever. Because like vignetting sometimes is automatically applied with some of these lenses. So sometimes I'll make it brighter on the side. But vignetting is what I use more than anything. And if I'm sorry, not vignetting, but gradient filters. Yeah, but if I'm shooting a sunset, I'll do a gradient filter and add a little bit of an orange to it, just so it magnifies the sunset. And that's basically what I do. The other things I do is I'll pull that single image into Photoshop, and if there's something that's like taking all my attention away from my main subject, like I'll maybe like Photoshop that out, and that's about it.
Yeah. Makes sense. Very good.
But one thing that I will tell you that changed everything with my editing is taking my monitor and putting it on half brightness. That changed everything. Yes, because when you edit on full brightness and you go to get your stuff printed, it's going to come back dark and you're going to be like, why? This is weird. But when you edit on half brightness, that's what these printers see it as. So it helps you out a lot more with your finished print.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
In terms of back to workflow, so keeping work on maybe external hard drives, making additional copies of the work, just making sure that all your stuff is safe. What would you say are some best practices as somebody seeks to maybe do more professional work, and you have to have the stuff there and not lose it, even if a hard drive kind of shuts down, or what are your go-to resources for that?
So I used to use a Drobo, but since which is a device that does 5 hard drives at once. But since I've been on the road, I've been using a whole bunch of these little guys. These are little 3 terabyte Western Digital drives. And I have Velcro on the back because I used to hook them, attach them to the side of my Airstream. And that way they wouldn't like rattle all over the place when I travel.
Yeah.
But I use software called sounds like he has an opinion.
Yeah.
I use a software called Chrono Sync. And Chrono Sync allows you to back up to multiple hard drives at one time. And all I do is push a button. And so I take pictures of you, okay? And it'll back up all your pictures with the folder in the place that I want it. And it backs up to 3, 4, 5 hard drives all at once. And I have about 4 of these, and 3 of them all are exactly the same, and I keep them in different places. That's all.
Cool. That's awesome.
Pretty simple, actually.
Yeah. Chrono Sync, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Chrono Sync. Wow, cool. So then going off of that, when it comes time for delivery of your work projects, being that you've had years and years of experience doing this stuff, and as kind of times evolve and technologies evolve and stuff like that, what would you say are, I guess, your methods for delivering work projects, maybe to a wedding client or some other professional client? What are your kind of go-to delivery methods?
So for weddings, I always did USBs. And I would always do like a little upsell with digital downloads. And that way anybody could download it. So like if your uncle did the splits and he wants a big 20 by 30 of himself on the wall, he can download it himself. I use something called Zenfolio, but they have SmugMug, they have Pixie Set, whatever they're called. They have all these different things that you can upload them to and download them. That's what I use to deliver stuff. And if you're delivering to commercial clients, they use Dropbox a lot, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or Google Drive is my main go-to. But yeah, that's what they would use. But weddings would use something like Zenfolio or Smug Mug.
Okay, good
Yeah.
stuff, good stuff. Let's see, what else do I have here? I just kind of covered that. What else do I got for you? I think that covers most of the main, like the key questions that I think I had for you.
Did you see
What
the
else?
night photography workshop thing that I uploaded?
I don't know. Did I?
Okay,
When was
so
that?
I just posted it yesterday. So if you go to
Oh no. Okay.
joehendricks.com, it's the first thing you see, learn night photography, and it's free. But like and dude, you'll have to tell me. You'll be one of the first ones to get it. But I want to do an audio podcast of me walking around at night taking the pictures, and I'm like, you're gonna be like walking with me,
Oh
and
wow.
we're gonna
Yeah.
set it up. I'm gonna be like, all right, take a picture. Take a picture. Like, how'd yours turn out? Mine turned out like this. Like, and I'm gonna go through all my gear and everything. And like, you're just gonna have headphones on. You're gonna be walking in the middle of New Mexico, and I'm gonna be walking in the middle of Texas. And we're gonna do this picture together. That'd be crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, that's a great idea. I mean, just that interactivity, because the technology allows it. So why not?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. Maybe I shouldn't post this so nobody steals that idea.
Yeah. That's so funny. No, that's awesome. I got to check that out. I got to check out what you just mentioned.
What were you gonna say before that?
So what was I gonna say? I forgot what I was gonna ask you about. Another thing that comes to mind is, so White Sands, you mentioned going out, maybe probably like Arizona, California. We haven't been to Yosemite yet. Do you have just like, I don't know, certain favorite spots in some of these really huge national parks that you're like, you have to miss, you can't miss this? Maybe Yosemite, for example.
Just keep your eyes open the whole entire way, because it's absolutely amazing. We have not been back to Yosemite since we've had our Airstream. I can't imagine what it's like to camp in Yosemite. And there is so much stuff to do. Just take hiking gear with you, because the hikes are absolutely breathtaking. And just be ready at any second. You definitely want to take a tripod there, because with the tripod, you can get the waterfalls, going down, and all the rivers they have there. There's but you have to be ready for bears or anything else that could happen at a moment's notice. So it'll kind of test you creatively on the different kind of styles that you have to have for photography. But dude, anywhere along the way is gonna be breathtaking there. But you will absolutely fall in love with Yosemite and probably never want to leave.
Nice. Yeah, I can't wait to. We're going out there hopefully in the next couple of months, I'd say. So
I think that's a pretty good time to go without the crowds.
That's what I'm worried about, because I mean, we went to Zion last year and the crowds were pretty bad by the time we got there. I think we were there a little bit after you guys were there, and the crowds were brutal.
I don't like going to Zion because it's like Disneyland or something. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's how we felt. So yeah, that's awesome. I think that's pretty much everything I had for you. So
what are you hoping to do with your photography in the future?
You know what? I think a lot of it is hopefully probably more focused toward trying to get clients where I can shoot maybe like vehicles and adventure kind of stuff.
Cool.
I don't know that I haven't dabbled in it too much, but as far as like the weddings or, shooting people, I don't know that I'm kind of just hungry for that yet. So I don't know. I don't know if that's in the cards or not. But I definitely have this thing for trying to get like adventure shots and, like vehicles, cars, RVs, even motorcycles. I would love to kind of dabble in some of that stuff.
Well, and what's really cool about that kind of photography is you can take your time with it, and you can literally piece images together. But you can just take your time. And, when you do commercial photography, people expect you to go a little bit slower. I work fast. So on these shoots where a commercial photographer might take 5 hours, I might take, 30 minutes to an hour. And funny enough, like I might be able to get a great picture in that amount of time, but people psychologically are so used to commercial shoots taking a while that photographers that are super patient, who, you know, take their time to get a shot right, adjust stuff very, you know, small angles or whatever. Those are the ones that do really good, and people who surround themselves with a good crew. You know, when you get into that commercial stuff, you know, you'll have somebody help you out. Hold on to that person, because, you know, if they love your photography and what you're doing, hold on to them, let them build up with you. You'll find an editor you like. You'll find assistants you like. You'll find all these different people, lighting and everything. And what's so crazy about commercial shooting is that you don't really have to know all the different aspects of photography. It helps. But you can hire people to do lights. You can hire people to do makeup and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But when you're dealing with cars and stuff, you don't have to worry about personalities. So you can fumble a little bit. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd love to do some of that kind of thing. And product photography, I think I like that a lot, you know, playing with kind of like what you mentioned, like playing with the lights and stuff like that, you know, trying to just paint a product in the best picture and a very appealing picture for a company. So stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, cool. That's cool. I mean, any way that I can help you out with any of that stuff in the future, just let me know. Because, I'd love to see you, you know, just be very successful in photography. I mean, you definitely have.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I remember your talk at the first summit, you know, and that kind of opened up my eyes to some things that I hadn't seen before. And, it just made it real, you know, it made it feasible. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for you.
Crushing it, man. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and end this recording, but we can keep talking a little bit if you want. But John, thank you for joining me. And if anybody out there has questions about photography and you want a one-on-one consultation, just email me at joe@joehendricks.com. I see you, dude.
Awesome. See you.